Tell you, every single time I go through a pain and suffering, releasing demons, giving birth to new ideas, giving birth to these little hatchlings that then turn into, hives. They turn into a lot of different things. Cancer, disease, chronic illness, even, let me see. Let's take a look at my little hump here in the back. This is the dome. This is the firmament. This is the hatchling. This is the flat earth right here. Can you see? Can you see? I'm going to put like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so I can't see it, but I'm sure I'll see it when I watch my video. But yeah, that thing right there, that was my body putting all the little viruses that woke up from the climate change, immune system activation, and that's part of my lymphatic system, is finding the entities and galvanizing them. And then it's a fight to the death. But I have the upper hand because I have clarity of thought. I have the food supply. I understand what my immune system, what I need to do to protect myself and to fight the battle. I don't employ mercenaries. I don't go and attack my body. I don't starve myself. I don't purposely put myself out there to deal with another trigger of then I have to remedy it away because of trying to keep up with the Joneses, because every single time you use a remedy, you develop another colony forming unit of some other entity that will invariably force you, yes, to drop an egg or develop another cancer trigger in the future or a died suddenly situation. And it makes so much sense within the last 3 years because I would have different dreams and they were probably sexual in nature, but then also listening to my husband giggle when he's sleeping. So the succubus in him is developing the sperm. The incubus in me is developing the eggs, and that's why you get these heavy periods. And then at some point when I'm releasing so many different demons, like colony forming units of demons that would develop the eggs, then I don't get as much of a period because I allowed my system to express itself and to release the entities through my poop, through my pee, through my blow my nose. And I also rest and I eat all food. And so that's why the periods are less and less. And then when the system triggers another climate change, yet again, it wakes up another colony unit. And so when my dog was suffering to live and then we couldn't handle that anymore, that was when I had that stiff neck. I've had stiff necks before where the immune system would find the little viruses, little demons, and house them in my neck. And then I would have a stiff neck and then it would be done. But this last time it was the arm pain. Yeah, I could have died from a heart attack the last few months because I had the arm pain. But what saved my ass? The rest of my system was open. That's what saved my ass, literally, was the fact that I already opened up my alimentary canal. And I also conditioned the coughing, the sneezing, the blowing the nose, and I conditioned down there to release. And so this last few months, like before my husband went to his vacation back in April, and then he came home, he came home right before the eclipse. And then I was freaking out over the eclipse. But before that, I was at a Walmart. And the Walmart energy, I don't know if it was higher. I don't know. But I felt so dizzy in that Walmart. Why? Who's to say if they had a higher frequency there or the fact I was on the precipice of birthing another little freaking demon. I'll call it an incubus. Because then not too many months later, which is within the last few weeks, I had that period. I birthed an egg from that climate change waking up of the demon. And so I figured out that the eggs that these kids hold inside when they hit puberty, those are the little entities that they're born with, yes, And also probably get INJECTE'd with in the VHCCINESs. But again, they're not poison. It's all fertility. Sometimes too much fertility and the kid can't handle immune system activation and developing offspring like antibodies. Or it's the environment is too much. Somebody breathed on them, and just even that mixing of the microbes developed an immune system activation that child couldn't withstand. Either they died suddenly or they developed a disease, an offspring called rashes, called whatever disease. And so, yeah, these kids, that's what I'm saying. That's what I figured out. It's the adults who've already in the J world. The adults in the J world who have enough substance to them will have a better chance. I couldn't tell you if it's blood type A or B, or A and B or whatever, or blood type O, because you literally have to have the wherewithal to deal with immune system expression. And that is the body birthing all of those little entities that were laying dormant, like little eggs, little colonies, little sleeper cells. That's essentially what's going on is kids have a lot of sleeper cells within. So do adults. But see, in a slower frequency environment, those sleeper cells were progressively released and then controlled. And the energy is channeled through sports and through academics or whatever else. But in a high frequency environment, these little sleeper cells in people's bodies, children's bodies, adult bodies, they are it's like fireworks. I mean, that's essentially what it was like the last couple of weeks, was like fireworks. Whatever a major demon that I held within that was so burrowed deep within the recesses of all my cells, they came to surface. They came to surface. And then it birthed an egg that wasn't going to get fertilized. But it birthed an egg that I had to release in the course of sickness. And the arm pain. Oh my God. It birthed so many little entities. And that's what caused the fertility. And so yesterday, I had a flurry of sneezes. And I had the extreme hunger. So it's so good to see how I can make correlation equals causation just from the sneezing at least 10 times within a matter of a few seconds. And I'm like, oh my God. And I had the chicken. I was hungry and I was waiting for my husband and he was at work on his way home. But I was hungry, so I ate some chicken salad and grits crackers. And that would have tied me over until we figured out what we were going to do for dinner. But then I had that flurry of sneezes. So it was like the chicken gave the immune system a push to do the flurry of sneezes, to birth another fucking entity, which I did. And then I felt the aggressive hunger, like a hurtful hunger. I wasn't even angry. It was just like my stomach was hurting from being so hungry. I'm like, how the hell? I just ate a bunch of crackers and chicken salad. How could I be hungry after those flurry of sneezes? Because I birthed another entity. So then I'm like, okay. So I told my husband was picking up McDonald's. I said, can you pick up some McDonald's with fries and a burger and Coke? And he did. And I mowed on the burger and the fries, and it's great. It's satiated, and I had no more pain in my stomach because I fed the babies. And so then we were hungry a little bit later on, and I felt the arm pain a little bit, but not too much. But it was still painful because I had lost, I really couldn't do, I mean, it's still a little bit sore doing this, but I couldn't even do this. Like when I would throw the laundry down into the basement, I was like, oh my God, because I'm so used to throwing the laundry and using this right arm that it would just be like, it would be fine. But then yesterday I couldn't even do it. I screamed in pain and he was like, what the hell? But I was able to pick up the laundry. It wasn't like I lost strength. It was just the way the motion was. And so then I picked up the laundry basket from down in the basement, did a bunch of laundry, and I brought it upstairs like I had no issue at all. It's so weird. So anyways, so then, I was hungry again. We both were hungry again. We ordered a pizza. So I had two slices of pizza, and that was great. And this morning, oh my God, when I woke up this morning, I didn't feel anything. It wasn't like I was waking up. I mean, I woke up with a little bit of sweat, but not too much. But when I woke up this morning, I was like releasing demons, and then wow, it releases so many demons. And then my husband also had a little bit of diarrhea. But I noticed that my range of motion, I wasn't so sore. And I'm thinking, you know what? Oh my God, yeah. So every single time the COVID, which is basically the frequency, comes through, like the angel of death, when you think about it. That's the whole sun worship and everything else. That's the sun, the frequencies, climate change, whatever you want to call it. It'll wake up those nests inside, and that's what people are dealing with. That's what they're not surviving. Those are the aliens in the body. Those are the aliens in the body. And then you can see why the Rosicrucians adopt so many different religions, because they all have their points. They have both the positive and negative. Okay? And so when you think about back in the Middle Ages, when Copernicus and Galileo and Kepler and Newton, and these are great male thinkers, because they didn't have to bear any babies or deal with too much disease. I mean, they did, but women were, yeah. They discovered that, they could adopt two different lines of thought when it comes to flat Earth or globe Earth. And so maybe the flat Earth worked for them, and maybe that was the truth. I guess, who the hell knows? I don't know the truth and what is. I think it's just, I don't even know. All right. And so you have the flat Earth, and the globe Earth was more like, when you think about the Rosicrucians adopting all the different religions, and you have the ancient Egyptians worshiping the sun. And when you worship the sun, it also causes, like the Vampire Diaries, pixelation, breakdown of the body, the mind, and the spirit. And so those who worship the sun so much, who are out in the sun all the time, you see them aging aggressively. Yeah, their skin becomes extremely wrinkled. Maybe there's, and so, and that's interesting that it was only a couple of weeks ago that I had the sunburn. And usually I would peel maybe a couple days later. No, during this time of where my arm was hurting and everything was hurting and all that stuff, my arms started peeling yesterday, the day before. And it's so weird. It's like a delayed effect as far as, but I think it was going, I don't know why it peeled days later. So anyway, so the whole sun worship and the globe Earth and the circle of life, and that's why I developed this argument for the flat Earth people, because then you can mix in immortality, mortality, and you think about the actual circle of life is both mortality and immortality, and then you get a choice. But the mortality is what keeps the human race going, and the immortality is what keeps the human race going. And so anyway, so the intersecting planes, planet, and so the joy of being human and expanding your brain and not using your body for sex, drugs, and rock and roll is the fact that you can play with words and look at what is hidden in plain sight. And so when I did actually Google the definition for plane, it's 2 points. It's a horizontal or vertical line. Okay, you start off with a line, and then you have so many intersecting lines that you can develop anything you want. I mean, chemistry and science and physics is basically energy conversion, and you can develop any world you want. And so I've never been on any rocket, and even if you did go a certain miles, above the Earth, as far as is the Earth round, people say, well, if you go look through the sky, you're seeing stars, or you're seeing superimposed microbes and spirits. So you're saying you've seen the past, and they're like, well, look, that's Jupiter. That's okay. I mean, we're looking through telescopes. I couldn't. That's the thing with the whole flat and globe. That's why I'm not trying to take a side. I'm going to be more familiar with the globe Earth theory than try to fight for flat Earth or fight for globe Earth. I mean, I was raised in the globe Earth world, but I will give so much credibility to the flat Earth world. I'm not going to make it a religion and make it something that, that to use against people and whatever. But remember, the system gave us these theories. They gave it for a reason, because it's not that it's a theory, like it's not true, it's just a fake deception. It's another line of thought that when you want to evolve a society, you have to introduce new arguments. And eventually the old world, whatever that is, whatever that entails, and that could entail large families and globe earth and politics, religion, and science, that's the old world. And when you finally get into the new world, you might have to consider flat earth theory. You might have to consider immortality. You might have to consider not having a bunch of children. You might have to consider not embracing so much religion. Okay, I noticed that when I'm watching some of these movies, that are like, oh, this is great, Bridgerton, right? It's so about, championing for women and showing the women's plight, and also mixing, the diversity, having the Black people come up and be part of the old society that was mostly Caucasian. But then they have all this aggressive sexuality. I'm like, geez, why do they have to, does she have to show her boobs? Does they have to show such explicit scenes? But that's the give and take, because there's both sides to it, right? They want people to be highly sexualized to control the population, as well as understand the plight of women. And so it's a quid pro quo. If I'm going to be given a gift of information, of understanding what the system's trying to do, then I got to deal with the things that I don't want to deal with. It's all the sexuality and all the crazy stuff that it's all over our society. It's no different than with the whole flat earth and all of that, is that, okay, it's in the Bible, the firmament and all that's in the Bible, and we'll introduce you flat earth, but your payment is to maybe reconsider worshiping dead people, worshiping Jesus, or saying he died for your sins. But we'll give you the flat earth theory because maybe that's potentially true. And maybe NASA will one day say, yeah, the reason why we said, well, new information says that. I don't know how they would explain away Kepler's stuff. I don't know how they explain that away, but maybe they'll never, who knows? But remember, we're releasing the old world. And so maybe, and with the whole thing with the Illuminati, right? They'll say, well, yeah, the Freemasons or something. I'm trying to figure out a storyline that would be credible and palatable for the masses in the future to then adopt something like a flat earth theory as the main programming versus the globe earth. But anyways, I wanted to develop an argument for the flat earth people, because that you got to understand the other side. I mean, why play this game of my way is better than your way? What if both ways are different? What if it is like a firmament, like a dome, like a half circle? And what's the other side? Maybe that's the above, and then the other part of the circle is the below. That's the dead world. I don't know, maybe. But when you think about plane, it's 2 points. It's a line, horizontal and vertical. And so when I made this like wheel of planes that turned into like the circle of life, I was looking for axis, the definition for axis again. So I was going to post another thing about that. And then I saw these lines. I'm like, oh, it says point A and point B. I'm like, and I looked at these pictures that were like in Google. I'm like, oh, so that's when I went and got my paper. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this axis. So I'm going to do the cross, like that Hayflick limit that showed you the y-axis and the x-axis. And those are intersecting. And then you do more intersecting and more intersecting. All of a sudden, you have all these different intersecting life forms that are mortal and immortal. And all of a sudden, now you can connect all the lines on the outside, and you get the circle. And then that's basically the circle of life equals mortality equals intersecting planets or planes equals planet. And then the T would be the upside right or upside down, right? And Earth is the ground. Earth is the ground. And so the flat earth with life, that's the plane. Just like an airplane going from point A to point Z. All right, so flat earth with life, and then you have immortality. Because when you look at flatlining at the medical system, that means you're dead. But what if in the flat earth world, the flat plane equals indefinite life? It just keeps continuously going infinitely. Okay, so there's so many ways to characterize science, and when you're playing with geometry and playing with lines, developing shapes and developing stories, alphanumeric can always change and develop stories and develop new chemistry. And then when you're developing devices to change the atmosphere, then you can change the environment, change the people, change the culture, change whatever you want. And so, and so then with the biology, with all the eggs and everything, yeah, eggs are not spontaneous. It's the entities within. It's the diversity. It's the aliens. That's the whole thing with Men in Black. Because I was thinking about, watching all the people going crazy on Facebook, the criminals, hijacking buses and driving really fast and hitting cars. And I'm thinking, like, oh, that's what Will Smith and Tom, whatever his name is. We're controlling where all the little microbes, the bugs that were invading in society, and they were like either zombie types and murderous people. And so people are full of programmed little microbes. And you think about panspermia, right? Panspermia was another theory from way back when. And I even studied that theory from way back when. I even was calling my dog panspermia for a minute. And yeah, when you get microbes coming from other parts of the universe, and they're in our ionosphere, they're in our stratosphere, and they're raining down upon us. And yeah, you also have the microbes from the planes too, and all that. Yeah, that causes then, immune system activation relative to what it is. And the microbes from your friends and family are inhaled, and then people taking their supplements, taking their drugs, taking their having sex in all different ways. And so then they are developing these hatchlings in the body that when they get woken up and activated, they cause people to drop eggs. And so menopause is when the body isn't viable enough, or the reproductive system is broken down for whatever reason. But traditionally, menopause is when the body knows, the entities inside the body that are fornicating with you know that you won't be able to carry a baby to term, and you're not viable enough to carry a baby to term and even take care. Well, that doesn't care about you taking care of it. It's just is the conditions in that body right for that baby to be carried to term. Some people do have a baby, and then they have like 10 miscarriages. Okay, so, and that's some of the younger women. But the older women, though there are some older women that scatter in the population that are able to carry a baby to term, but that baby is so weak. That's why you're watching Hollywood, all these people having kids in Hollywood, because they were programmed. They have entities within them that are fornicating with them, causing them to be, with so many different partners, and also getting with people and then having a bunch of kids, having clones of themselves. And then biotechnology does the whole gene editing, and you get all your beautiful people. And so it's pretty crazy. It's really, really crazy what's going on. And so, yeah, that's the incubus and succubus, is that the succubus, the incubus is the guy with the girl inside of him developing the sperm. And that's crazy, right? Where a girl and a guy the spirit, the entities within can develop the sperm in the man. And then inside women, the entities within, it's like the incubus is developing the eggs within the woman until she's done. And then that's what actually influences the behavior. Drugs, alcohol, sexuality, all that stuff, even sexual orientation. And so in my book, when I wrote that when you have a closed up immune system with so much diversity, you're going to have a million different orientations. You'll have people who are objectificationers, whatever, inanimate object people. I mean, you name it. There's probably a billion types of sexuality, sexual orientation, identification. And it's not like bad. It's because they have an immune system that is harboring so much diverse microbes, causing that behavior. Okay? Or that sexual orientation. That's diversity. And so to release the demons, it's painful. You have to have enough body to you. You have to have a commitment to release the demons and let them hatch and feel the pain and suffering. But that's why guys get the pot bellies, because their intestines are constricted. They might poop every day, But they're not releasing those demons. That's why they have that pot belly, and that's why they're aging. Because those demons inside, causing them to want to release sperm, are what's activating their immune system. And sometimes they get those entities inside then turn into cancer, disease, and chronic illness and autoimmune disorders. But the fertility is from the disease. That's the thing about what people don't understand is fertility. Disease and fertility are two sides of the same coin. Every single month when I would get my PMS, it was aggressive. I had so many eggs developing all the time. I get my heavy month and I get my light month. But I was always releasing eggs every month. Like, yeah, people do, because I had so many entities within me, just like everybody else does. I don't think there's any kids out there that when they hit puberty, they don't have a period. Of course they do. Because the entities inside of them are developing the eggs, then causing the sexual reproduction and the hormones to come out, and then you have what you see all over Facebook. So yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The 1960s was a huge turning point in turning everybody into predators. And everything is funneled through the religions, through the politics, through the sciences. Oh my God. And then you have all your universities, right? To then glorify people going down a specific way and glorifying their degrees to then perpetrate that they know better, that you have to go down this road, and this is that, and you can't tell them anything, and they are the last say. And that's why I'm so glad I didn't marry anyone who had a degree, because if I did, I would have been stifled, I would have been shut up, I would have been told, whatever. And that was the thing. Yeah, that's why I had to develop something else. Wow. Oh my God. I mean, I don't want to read this shit word for word, but I might just do a little paraphrasing. Because it's a lot. I swear, it's a lot. When the brain goes, like my brain just goes, it's hard to stop it. And then I just keep, and I'm telling my husband, he's like, why are you always up in your room all the time? I mean, he's like, do you want to watch a movie? I'm like, well, yeah, we can watch a movie, but you can pick the movie. And he's like, well, because he's actually fishing right now. But I also was dealing with, the little neck pain and a little arm pain. I was like, oh my God, after this flurry of sneezes, I don't know if I'm going to trigger another fucking sickness. But the sneezes weren't as aggressive, okay? But, so the more aggressive the sneezes are, the more aggressive the hatchlings are going to be. But anyways, I do a lot of thinking. I do a lot of thinking in my bedroom, on my bed, and I'm reading my stuff, and I'm going through and playing music or making reels. And so I just keep the brain moving, okay? And that's right now kind of where I'm at, is that like a week or so ago, I had to do those algebraic formulas to understand the X and the Y. And of course, using the integers to figure out how much, estrogen versus testosterone. And then you have the circle with the arrow and the plus sign. With using PEMDAS or SADMAP, you can reverse. And that's the thing also too. It's reverse engineering. When you want to understand how shit works, you got to reverse engineer everything. Reverse engineer flat Earth, which is globe Earth. Reverse engineer globe Earth to flat Earth. Reverse engineer dying to immortality. Immortality is reverse engineering mortality. Reverse engineer everything. And then you can have a million freaking arguments relative to your intention and what it is you're trying to prove or develop. But that's the thing about the mind, is you have to understand how to reverse engineer everything. But those that are stuck in their dogmas, and that's in the anti-vax, the pro-vax, the mainstream in politics, religion, and science, if you can't reverse engineer everything that you believe in, then you're stuck, and you'll be stuck destroying yourself, and highly sexualized and highly fertile, and then die from cancer, disease, chronic illness, or die suddenly. The ability to understand both sides of the argument and all sides of the argument and provide a scientific case for everything, even if you don't fucking believe it, but understand why it exists and provide a scientific case for it. And so now that I know that the VACCINESs are extreme fertility. Remember, people still believed in having families and having children, and there was a population that was like 500 million back in the 1600s. But what led up to the major population boom, that was the VACCINESs, to develop the diversity and also advance humans. And so even though you could be like, oh, well, now you understand, how can you take up for the VACCINESs, Jillian, if you know that the extreme fertility causes deadly outcomes? Because it just depends upon the intention of society and what they're trying to do. They're not trying to destroy everyone. They're trying to advance humans. But look out there in the population. You'd say anything new to any of these humans out there, some of these humans, they won't hear it. When I showed my husband this, and he's more globe earth than flat earth, but he's been back and forth around it. When I showed him this, you know what he did? He went like this. I can't hear anymore. It's every day, Jillian. And I understand that. That's why I go on Facebook Live, because my husband can't understand this shit. And I'm not saying that he's stupid. He's not. It's just, it's too much. It's a lot for some people. When you believe in one way, and that's the only way, to take on something like this, that's too fucking much. That would then tear down everything that he ever thought. It would tear down his illusions. And that's pretty shocking for people. So he's protecting himself. Because once he adopts something like this as a possibility, then everything else comes into question. And then how do you live with that? How do you fucking live with that? I don't know. So and I understand that. But as soon as I want to be like, oh my God, look how smart I am, honey. But see, pride and being smart isn't always a good thing, because it depends on who it is that you're trying to be smart to. And if they're like, no, I'm not taking that, then there's no point in being smart. It's not going to land anywhere. So that's why you have Facebook. So even though people around you don't fucking get where you're coming from, and they never will because they don't have the capacity to, and I understand that, somebody's got to hear this. Somebody out there has got to at least understand some aspect of this. So that's why I say what I say, do what I do, whatever. But, yeah. Fuck. So, anyways, I got off on a tangent, so whatever. All right, hold on. And so, yeah, will I eventually not get a period anymore because I've hatched all my hatchlings inside? Because even being around my husband, around present company, I mean, you think about it, that's right, the vaccines, okay. I don't think would develop disease just being around people. I think people have, so the VACCINES is ever since the Middle Ages. Okay, ever since the Middle Ages. Sorry, I had to fart. I had to. Sorry. All right. Even in the Middle Ages, they developed little nests. Okay. And so I understand. And so, yeah. So I understand why they did it, to develop diversity and advancement, because I can't on that tangent. If not everybody can understand this. And so there are some people in this world that will be able to advance themselves and understand all the arguments. Other people will close their ears and be like, I can't hear. You're stupid, Jillian. I love my family. I love my friends. Nothing's going to change. I'm going to go out with a bang. I don't care. I believe I should die someday. And that's okay. Those are the people that voluntarily sacrifice their, themselves. They'll have big families. They'll have children. They'll be highly sexualized, and they'll be out there in the sun, worshiping the sun, being pixelated away. And you thank them for their service. I mean, part of me is a little jealous that ignorance is bliss, It really is. Because, I'm serious, the smarter that you get, when you understand all sides of what's going on, the more miserable you might come off. Because then you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. Oh, I'm not going to do that. Oh, I'm not going to do that. And that's the release of the old world. You are becoming the new world, because eventually you're going to watch everyone that does what they do with no changes. They'll destroy themselves out of existence. And you can't stop them. Oh, God. So yeah, the whole Mother's Day and Father's Day was all about keeping you guys programmed to not only, have a bunch of kids, but to be highly sexualized. Right? The MILFs. The mamas I like to fuck, yeah, they're highly sexualized. That's why that term exists, because these parents, these mothers, young parents, they still have a lot to offer to the world, right? They're hot bodies and potentially a reason to live. You have their kids to take care of. You have, the PTA to go to. You have all your MLMs to sell to your friends and family, and all the birthday parties and all the holidays. I mean, yeah, the children and big families give people a life to have until they destroy themselves. So that's why you have Mother's Day and Father's Day. So anyone that says that, oh yeah, I'm a better father than this person, yeah, I would probably question you patting yourself on the back, how you stepped up. Because I see, again, people say like, oh, the deadbeat dads and deadbeat moms. Yeah. The ones that stepped up didn't necessarily produce some really amazing people. They produced fucking headaches for the system. Headaches for people. So just because you raised a child doesn't make you like man of the year, because some of these kids out there probably should have had parents leave them and let the system raise them, because maybe they could do something for the system versus keep taking and taking and taking from the system. And so, yeah, I dare anyone to say, oh yeah, well, yeah, because you're probably producing some really fucked up kids and think that, oh, because you stepped up, you're better than those that walked away. Those that walked away knew that they were not going to be a good parent and they were responsible. Those are like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a bunch of kids and raise them to be this. Well, I guess you're responsible, but again, it doesn't make you better, because I want to see that kid that you raised, right? I want to see the outcome of that child. Did you raise an amazing person, or did you raise someone that we have to deal with? And if you did raise an amazing person, who are you to say that everybody is a good parent, should be a parent? That's why I hate Mother's Day and Father's Day. But I said, thank you, Dad, for providing a space for the freedom of my future, or something like that. Giving my mother the ability to raise us the way to make room for the future, for evolution and creationism. Okay? But not because, oh, you're better than other people. No. Fuck no. Every person, there are people who didn't have a father. My husband met his father way down the road. Later, when I actually met him, he met his father for the first time. Well, not for the first time. He didn't have his father around. And he's an amazing dude. He's made bad choices like we all have in our youth, and then we correct ourselves. So you can be fatherless and be amazing. Okay? So I know people who didn't have a father who are fucking amazing at the time when they were growing up. And people that had fathers, they're fucked up. And you don't even want to know them and be around them, because they're fucked up. Because what their parents taught them. So yeah, Mother's Day and Father's Day is another programming to worship something, to keep you in a programming to have your kids have kids and have kids, and everyone dies. All right? So I'm not impressed with Father's Day or Mother's Day. I'm really not. All right? So yeah, the whole Incubus and Succubus, yeah, the entities inside of you. And that's why I dropped it. So that's why I'm thinking that if I still have more of those entities, right? My little thing is still there. But I will have to, over time, it's going to get smaller and smaller potentially, but who knows? I don't know. But my arm is feeling so much better. I couldn't do this yesterday. Oh, I'll be screaming in pain. All right. So Men in Black is about wrangling the entities inside of people, and they turn into criminals or whatever. Science of Amazing Intelligence, understand all the arguments and provide a case for it. The Rosicrucians understand using sun worship to basically oncologize people who are resistant to evolution information, and let them have fun. That's fine. Everything's a theory, so everything can change. What is it? The truth can change when science changes, and you got to have some kind of universal order until the system is ready to bring in evolution. But yeah, order is the most important, or else you have chaos and wars and destruction. And so creationists and evolutionists need to live together. The y-axis and the x-axis is the Hayflick limit. maybe Tavistock and CIA knew how interchangeable theories were. That's why they introduced it. Because they knew the system was going to change. They knew people were going to change. And maybe the old world, the globe earth, is going to go to the wayside and we'll go back to 500 million, like back in the Middle Ages when they had the flat earth stuff. And maybe we will go back to flat earth. Because again, when you look at the population, what was population back in the 1600s and 1500s? It was 500 million. 500 million. Yeah. 500 million. So I'm thinking the flat earth might be the next new world. That's why they introduced it. Okay? And so I showed you how I developed the intersecting planes of globe earth. And, okay. All of this is just to show you how my thought process develops the conclusions I put out there. And so you see how my thought process feeds into the next. It's evolution, creationism, yeah. Yeah, breast cancer and climate change. The banking system, when they got away from the gold standard, so we don't rape Mother Earth of 1 billion people digging for gold. Because look what happened in the 1850s. They had all these 49ers come from all over and were digging Sutter's Creek and all the gold over there in Northern California, Sacramento. I used to live in Sacramento. Yeah, Sutter's Creek and all that. They were digging for gold, looking for gold. The Golden State, California. Okay, so then you are the currency. That's the thing with the fertility, and way back when they doubled and tripled and quadrupled the population. Yeah, the Rothschilds were correct. People were like, oh gosh, the Rothschilds are such bad people. No, they developed a system that works, so that way you're not raping Mother Earth. Okay? That you develop a banking system that's based upon what your past is, your past history of payments, selling you loans. Some of them are predatory, yes, but that's where the system comes in and regulates stuff. But they gave people a way to incentivize each other to produce, be rewarded for their production, have a relatively nice life, and develop some great innovation. Because again, you can't have 1 billion, 6 billion, 9 billion people digging for freaking gold, trying to get rich. And then it becomes a war when someone tries to take somebody else's gold. So then they had to print the money. Absolutely. That's from the Federal Reserve. You're like, and the Fed, no, I'm not going back to the gold standard. Do I want to have 8 billion people digging for fucking gold? No. No different than having a bunch of oil wells all over the place. You really want to have an oil well in your middle of your area, and the water table gets contaminated from all the oil because everyone's trying to get rich off the oil? So they were, the Rothschilds and all of those dynasties, they were so fucking smart. Fucking smart. Because yes, market perception, bump and dump, everything is perception. Value is perception. And you're like, oh look, she has the only purse. It's worth $1 billion. That's all the illusions of wealth and illusions of grandeur. Okay? And so, yeah, you have to understand money and value is all perception. It's all based upon the system trying to figure out how to incentivize people to perform, to develop, and also get the best human prototype out there. Because would I want to live with those stuck in the dark ages? Like Jack, we don't want to have 300 million Jack the Rippers. And we don't want to have 300 million people with an IQ of 35. We've got to have a lot of diversity. And we have people who volunteer to be the next pain and suffering train wreck. There's another, I think I saw on Daily Mail or something. Another family, because the Kardashians are kind of going out to the wayside, and they want to be the next Kardashians. The next train wreck of beauty and pain and suffering. Okay, if you want to volunteer to be that, to be basically sucked dry by celebrity worship, by fame and fortune and money, that's fine, volunteer. See, those that want to get rich and be a fame and fortune, they'll be sucked dry. Their audience and all the people that they have to cater to and perform for will suck them dry. But they'll have a good time doing it. They'll get paid very well for it. So I understand that people have to volunteer to be the human sacrifice. And so if you're going to volunteer to be the human sacrifice, you better get paid very well for it. I think that's phenomenal of the system, to give people the opportunity. I mean, I had a little notoriety, believe me. I made a little bit of money, but I gave it back. I bought people computers that are in my world. I flew here and I flew there to help them do stuff. I spent a lot of money on the people that I was working with. I even gave them money during the times. They're like Lillian and everything. She had a computer. I bought her a computer through Best Buy. And I paid her like $100 a month. Because that's what the website, that was the traffic. It was the Google AdSense. So whatever money it was made from people coming through, she was going through and moderating, I would give her whatever, you know. And she didn't have to work all the time. It was just like, whatever. I mean, so, I gave back. Even though I made some money, I wasn't getting rich off of this. I put it right back into the books. Look, I spent $1,900 on this last book. And so that's the thing is that, I've spent so much time with people. I'm not trying to be famous. I'm not trying to sell a bunch of books, because how do you sell fucking pain and suffering to people? You don't. And so if those that want to get rich and be all famous and this and that, fine, let the world suck you dry. And you're volunteering to be the human sacrifice. Because one day a die suddenly is going to happen when the environment changes in their world or something changes. Human sacrifice. Because, to put off the image that we have found so desirable, being hot, sexual, and skinny, or being full of muscles, like these MMA fighters selling a lifestyle, one day the devil's going to take his due. But hey, you're enjoying the fame in the process. No different than Hollywood. One day their career will end. And then they're stuck either, homeless or a has-been and selling appearances at birthday parties and corporate events. Yeah. You don't want to be famous. You really don't. It's not worth it. But I guess if that's the only thing going for you, then okay. And it's crazy watching Fort Myers and Miami underwater. So that's the thing is, shit. Trapping antibodies. That's the mark of the beast, is trapped antibodies at the primary and secondary. The primary, secondary antibodies. Trapping those in your blood. And then you hit puberty. That's why it's better that the people in the J world who are adults, who have substance to them and freedom to change, they could potentially release those demons and build their substance back. But the kids, it's just a matter of time. Do you think they could be able to handle all that immune system activation and all those little hatchlings birth themselves and then become so hungry and who knows what kind of behaviors? Yeah. So this will be very interesting to see. But that's all I'm going to say right now. But the trapped antibodies, like I said in my book, when you have a closed immune system and you have all those diverse microbes, trapped antibodies from the primary and secondary antibodies from either the therapies or their sexual conquest and whatever. When the climate changes and it wakes up the beast within, that's when you see really interesting behaviors. And of course, aggressive sexuality. And also cancer disease, chronic illness, and died suddenly. Good luck out there.